Good morning and happy Thanksgiving. I'm going through the process of going through the old videos and merging them together and adding comments. So you may have seen this already, but there's, I think, a higher statistical chance that you haven't yet. But with that, let's go.
This is Mr. Bruce Johnson. Mr. Johnson, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Bruce Johnson, DOC number 474-479-240.
Mr. Johnson, this is a revocation hearing. I'd like to explain our procedure to you. I'm going to cover in just a few moments your parole revocation questionnaire. Do you have that before you?
Yes.
Okay, and then after we cover that, I'm going to read to you the allegations of how you are alleged to have violated your parole. You will plead either guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement. Then we'll have a full discussion about the allegations. Do you understand our procedure?
Yeah.
If you would take a look at your parole revocation questionnaire, is that your signature at the bottom? It appears that you signed that on June the 29th of 2022. Is that correct? Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember signing that document?
Yes, sir.
Are all of the things that you stated there still true?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, do you have a lawyer, or did you have a lawyer to represent you at this hearing?
No, I had a lawyer, but I haven't represented at the hearing.
Do you wish to proceed without a lawyer today at this hearing?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to read the allegations against you. It's alleged in violation number 4 that on March the 1st of 2022, you were involved in a criminal activity which led to your arrest by the Coshado Police Department for the offense of domestic abuse battery. On June the 6th of 2022, you pled guilty to the offense of disturbing the peace and were sentenced to serve 60 days in the parish jail. How do you plead to those allegations?
Honestly, I would have to say I was under the acknowledgement that me pleading to the disturbing of peace wouldn't violate my parole.
Okay. Let me kind of break this up because my question was even confusing to me. Okay. It's alleged that on March 1st of 2022, you were involved in criminal activity which led to your arrest from the Coshado Police Department for the offense of domestic abuse battery. How do you plead to that charge? Do you agree that you committed domestic abuse battery?
No, sir.
Do you plead not? But on the 6th of June of 2022, you pled guilty to the offense of disturbing the peace and was sentenced to serve 60 days in the parish jail. That is true. You accept that?
Yes, sir.
But you're going to give us your reasons why you pled guilty. You didn't think that would revoke you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir, because I was told there was an affidavit.
You're going to have that opportunity in just a second. I'm just trying to get on record what your position is.
Yes, sir.
As I understand it, your position is you didn't commit domestic abuse battery, but you did plead to a lesser charge.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your case has been your case has been assigned to Ms. Bonnie Jackson. She will begin our interview process. She will ask you questions and you'll have an opportunity to explain everything that you and I just talked about. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Would you please answer Ms. Jackson's questions?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. How are you today?
Good morning, fine, and you?
I'm good, thank you. You're 36 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you've been detained on a parole hold since your arrest on March the 21st of this year? March 1st, rather. When you got arrested, did you bond out of jail or did they put a parole hold on you?
Parole hold.
You've been incarcerated since March the 1st, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been in jail about 6 months, is that right?
6 months and 21 days to be exact.
Okay, be exact then. So let me, where were you being supervised? Where were you living? Shadow?
I discharged, yeah, Coachella, Louisiana, discharged from Winsboro.
Okay. Because it looks like your case was transferred. to
Yeah,
Coachella.
I'm originally from New Orleans. I transferred out here to Conchata to change my people, places, and things.
Okay. And who were you living with in Coachella?
My alleged baby's mother and my son's mom, Loranda C. Russell.
Okay, so you were living with the victim, the alleged victim, and your child, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do? What were you doing? What kind of work were you doing in Coachella?
Actually, I've got a paper sitting in front of me that is a constant reminder every day. I had just got accepted to a job at Pilgrim Pride starting in 1675 due to the fact that I came to jail on the first.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Huh?
Stop talking.
Okay.
You paroled in December of 21, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Between the time you paroled and the time you got rearrested, were you working?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What were you doing?
I was actually trying to get family support. I was filling out applications on Indeed until somebody actually respond, which somebody did.
And why exactly did you choose Coachella to be transferred?
Because my son was just not too long ago born. He's one now, so I was trying to be with my family.
I mean, who was in Coachella? I mean, you're from New Orleans. Who was in Coachella?
My baby's mother, Loranda Russell.
And is she from New Orleans?
Nah, she's from here.
Okay, again, when did you meet her?
I met her down in New Orleans. She was down in New Orleans, I guess, visiting some friends or something. And that's how we ended up meeting each other. I met her off of Canal and Bourbon Street, stuff like that.
She was from Coachella, that area.
Yes.
You asked to be transferred up there, is that correct?
Yes.
What I noticed is there wasn't a lot of notes from the parole officer. She got transferred up there in 22. And so there wasn't a whole lot of interaction between you and the parole officer because you got arrested so soon after you got transferred.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
tell me what happened on March 1st of 2022.
Well, for the situation, she was under the impression I was texting on the phone that she had gave me. She was under the impression that I was cheating on her, and she kind of lashed out or whatever. And upon that situation, she actually said that she didn't call the police, somebody else did.
Oh, tell me, why would somebody else call the police? What did somebody else see that would cause them to call the police?
Well, when she was kind of hysterical due to the fact that I knew I was on parole and I just came home, I didn't want to argue and do all that in front of my son, so I stepped outside and she came out behind me. And she was kind of hysterical, just hooping and hollering and stuff, and I kept walking away. And she was like all raged and stuff, and like kind of trying to restrain and hit on me and stuff. And I was like, trying to say like, all back, like just chill out because I'm on parole and you're doing too much. And she just kept doing it. And eventually, someone did call the police.
Ask your question. Did someone see you chasing her down the street towards a preacher's house?
Well, that was said, but
My question is, did you chase her down was she running down the street towards a preacher's house?
no, I did not chase her.
Was she running down the street towards the preacher's house?
Well, I'm not from out here, so I wouldn't even know who's.
Was she running down the street?
No, she did not run down the street, ma'am. She went, when I went outside and she came outside behind me, to be honest with you, I went back inside because she was still talking loud to tend to my son because he went to crying and I was tending to him. So if she did run to somebody's house, I wouldn't have known because I was actually inside.
I mean, the police report that we have said that you were seen. She was seen running down the street, you behind her with a stick. That was what the caller told the police.
Okay, and I understand that. And I also was told from my lawyer saying that they didn't have no witnesses to confirm that because she signed the affidavit stating that she lied about the whole situation. So I don't.
Stop talking.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, a third party called the police. A third party called the police because they saw something that concerned them. And when they called the police, they reported her running down the street with you chasing her. And it was concerning enough to them that they called the police. Now, whether or not that person wanted to come forward or be identified to testify at trial has nothing to do with, what actually happened. And really, all I'm trying to get out of you is a bit of honesty.
Yes, ma'am.
Honesty goes a long way with me.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I really want you to be honest right now.
Yes, ma'am.
What actually happened?
We was arguing. We had an argument, but honestly, ma'am, I did not chase her with no stick. Like I just come from doing time. I mean, I don't know why that occurred, and they said that I honestly can't.
Stop talking. It was also reported that you kicked her in the back and the side.
I did not kick her. I did not hit her at all. Like, honestly, like, you said to be honest with you, ma'am, and I'm finna be honest.
Please?
I just done time for this type of situation, so I've been rehabilitated, ma'am. Ma'am, and with all respect, I did not do these things. That's why I believe it was dropped down or whatever the case may be. For whatever reason, it was dropped down. But I was told there was an affidavit signed that she admitted saying that she lied on me. Ma'am, I did not hit her, ma'am.
Stop talking. All right. Yeah, I was a judge for 28 years. And I've had a lot of domestic violence cases. And it's not unusual for a person who has actually been the victim of a domestic violence to fill out an affidavit saying that it never happened or that they lied. That is a common thing that you see with domestic violence. For one reason, they depend on the person in jail for financial support, or they still want to be in a relationship with the person So simply because they fill out the affidavit doesn't necessarily mean that those things didn't happen. It just means they don't want you to be in jail. That's what that means.
Well, this hindered me of an opportunity of a job, ma'am. So, as far as trying to rekindle any type of flame with her, that's totally out of the question. Doing what I got to do for my son, that's in the question because I'm willing to do for my son. Other than that, I don't even have plans on if anything was to even change in the situation of me being released to go back to her because that jeopardized my freedom. And I just went through that. You know, you understand? I ain't got time for that.
I'm talking for a moment for that. If the only reason you are in Coshada is because that's where she is and your son is, do you plan to continue to live in Coshada?
No, ma'am.
So you would be asking for a transfer where?
I was told about this program called the Exit 318 program that actually have returned people with convictions or whatever to back to society, helping with housing and job. So I would recommend that's what I would do.
That is Shreveport?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you applied for that program?
I've been inquiring about it. I've got all the paperwork on it, and actually had a recommendation from a lieutenant that's here that was going to help me make sure that I do get to that place.
So you recognize that your relationship with Ms. Russell probably isn't a healthy relationship for either one of you.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And so you plan to try to get into a program in Shreveport, not return to New Orleans, and you anticipate some sort of relationship with your child.
Yes, ma'am. I can honestly say, for as my child, I'm gonna have a relationship with him. But for as his mom, we can co-parent it or whatever we gotta do. But as far as me returning to her, no. I mean, honestly, if it's another way we can go about doing that, I'm willing to do that. But as far as being around her, because I had her number blocked or whatever since I've been here, no, it's no more connection. There's no more love there. It's no more nothing. Because my life and freedom was jeopardized. And that's just it. It's nothing there.
Well, you know, you would have to go through a legal process to get, I mean, are you on the birth certificate as the father?
Visitation rights and everything of my son, yes, I'm aware of that too.
Okay, oh. All right, Ms. Marabella, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Johnson, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes? Why don't we add, let me ask the probation officer, what can you tell us about Mr. Johnson?
I had only supervised him for about a month. And during that time, he was looking for a job and he actually had found one. But other than that, you know, I really didn't have a lot of time to spend with him.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask another
Sure.
question? All right, you've indicated that you're not planning to go back to Ms. Russell. There will be a lag time. If you get in the 318 program, that's great, but you won't get into it today. So if you were to get out of jail today, where do you plan to sleep tonight? Where do you plan to live?
Well, if I do get out today, I do have a current friend that's out here that I actually met since the 6 months I've been here, and I believe he's doing some type of truck driving thing in Shreveport, and I've been talking to him. His name is Phil Howard. I've been talking to him, and he,
Understand that you can't go anywhere until there's been a transfer approved.
yes, I kind of understand that too, and I was also told that if I was gonna be referred to the 318 program, that it wouldn't take long for them to accept me because I believe they already know about me, to be honest, ma'am. I'm not gonna lie.
What's the parole agent? What's your name? I don't want to call you for
Ronald Lodrick.
Rundrick.
Lodrick, yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that you could do to facilitate his, if I were to do a conditional do not revoke condition on him being accepted into the 318 program, is there anything that you could do to help facilitate his getting into that program?
I can, yes, ma'am. We can make contact with him and explain the situation, tell him that he is homeless, that he has nothing down here, and
Right. I don't think it'd be a good idea to let him out right now until a transfer is in place, until 318 has accepted him. So if that's something that you think you could facilitate for him, we would certainly appreciate that.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, is there anything you'd like to say before we vote?
I just wish this never happened. That's all I really have to say. So I wish this situation had never jeopardized me and never put me in the position that I'm in right now.
Thank you very much. Panel ready to vote? Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Johnson, I think you are trying to do the right thing. And I'm glad that you understand that, the relationship that you're in with Ms. Russell is not in your best interest, her best interest, or your child's best interest. I'm glad to see that you've reached out to a program in Shreveport that can help you. I'm glad that you recognize you shouldn't go back to New Orleans. So that shows me that you really do want to be successful. And that's what we want also. We want you to be successful. So my vote today would be to do not revoke, conditioned on your acceptance into the 318 program in Shreveport and an approved transfer to Caddo Parish to be in that program. I don't know how long that's going to take, but you will have to remain where you are while that is taking place. But that's my vote today.
Mr. Freeman? Thank you.
I agree with Ms. Jackson. In both the conditionally not to vote upon you being accepted in 318. And I would advise you that I know you want to see your son, and I'm glad you want to be part of his life, but make sure you don't try to do that directly with her, because it's just going to lead to more conflict, and you don't need any more of that.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Johnson, you received 2 votes to condition, not revoke, but add condition that you are approved for and get into the 318 program. That's going to take a little while. I agree with my colleagues. I vote the same way. So your decision today is not to revoke, conditioned upon you're getting accepted in the 318 program. However long that takes. We hope it doesn't take a long time, but we need to get you into that program before you release. So good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're done. Thank you very much, both of you, for your comments. We'll be adjourned from Red River.
And thank you all, sir, ma'am, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well. Thank y'all too. Man.
It was is that a sigh of relief or? So, all right, let's unpack that. How did you feel about that? You know, on one hand, I do believe he was lying and just continuously lying. And that, of course, is not something they're looking for. They're looking for accountability. They're looking for honesty. But we have one story where he's chasing her down the road with a stick, that he even kicked her. Then he said, well, she signed an affidavit that she didn't do that. But then, of course, Miss Jackson called him out on that often that happens. A neighbor had called, I guess, saying what they'd seen. And I mean, you never know in these neighborhoods with politics and how things can get misconstrued. But if it was a real-time call, I think that I believe it. And I think, so it's like interesting in one sense that he just seems to be lying, but it could be that he was given advice to lie, because if he actually did it, they may just not care, and they may just say, well, you did this, and now that you, so to speak, admitted to it, now you're going to have to get your parole revoked. And it could be he got advice from an attorney just to deny it, being the situation he has at hand. I don't know. Now, it's interesting, the approval, I happen to like it because he's already served a long time in jail. They're not letting him out right away. He has to get approved into a program that should help him, hopefully will help him. And it's going to take, it seems, a long time. Who knows, it might take him 6 months to get into the program or more. So it's not by any means a get out of jail free card, right? I don't think I've used that word yet. Get out of jail free card. But at the same time, they're trying to help him, right? So, hey, I think all the things we should be grateful for when we're here on Thanksgiving is that we get to be with our families. We're not locked away. We get to hold and hug our children. And sometimes that's all we need to be grateful for. Love to hear comments from anyone who spent time in jail or prison during Thanksgiving or Christmas, and what that must feel like, what June that must feel like, how, or maybe someone enjoyed it, maybe someone just needed the break and they actually were okay with it. So I'd love to hear those comments. And then I have a story to share. So it's a first world problem story, but it was just yesterday. I had bought a gaming computer for my kids like 2 weeks ago, and I bought it knowing that Black Friday was coming and the sales were coming in, Cyber Monday, etc. So I made sure to talk with it was Best Buy and confirm that if a sale came, that they would do a price match, so to speak. So sure enough, I looked online and it was like much cheaper. It was like $200 less than what I had spent for it, which is a huge amount, considering to even what the total price was originally. So I called up Best Buy and I got one of those offshore robot, it was a human, but sounds like a robot going through the motions, probably hired just for the seasonal thing. And she was not listening to what I was saying about this price match. She was basically just repeating from a script. And I said, stop talking. I really sounded like Miss Jackson in my mind when I said that. So that was, to me, like the funny part of the story. When I hear Miss Jackson say, stop talking, it actually got into my vocabulary. It ended up working out in the end. It was funny. The voice operator, which just kept saying it's impossible. actually they said you have to go to the store, buy a new computer at the discount, and then you can return your old one, which like makes no sense, right? So I just went to the store and I waited in the customer support line, and there was a manager that actually was like great. Like he came out with like his beep gun, and he was like really quick, and he got me taken care of and jumped through the hoops, and so it ended up working out well. But with that, I'll let you go. I've got more videos to ship. And again, have a wonderful, meaningful Thanksgiving.